motions came in this evening. One of them was specified towards me, and the councillors are making some very derogatory remarks away from the mic, under their breath, and it's offensive. Can I ask every councillor, first of all, to defer from this action, because it's showing contempt towards the people of Dublin, because you're showing contempt towards the people who they elected. And I have no time, and we can all have our own political debates without having to be personal about it or having side remarks. And can I also ask if there's any further at this kind of carry on going on, that I'm notified immediately, not kind of afterwards, after the meeting or something, because we can deal with it then, there and then. The next issue I have, Council, is something that's been plaguing me for the last while, and the whole City Council. It's an issue, with a number of emergency motions came in this evening. One of them was specified towards me, and the way I dealt with a specific issue that was going on, mainly the disbandment of the Artane Band. Now, I think it's unfair at this stage that I would stay in the chair, but I do want to bring this to a head, because there's some serious issues going on with people that, putting pictures up of this City Hall, which is the people of Dublin who own the City Hall, and they're basically slagging it off and defacing it through social media. And in light of that, the motion which actually led to this emergency motion coming in is motion number 24. And I would ask the Council, in an unusual step, if we could suspend standing orders to deal with I'm not taking it as an emergency motion, but it is a subject that I think needs to be dealt with, because it's undermining the chairperson of the City Council. I think that needs to be addressed. So I'm asking people to suspend standing orders to deal with that issue, and to also take motion 24. And if he's agreed to do that, I would then ask the Deputy Lord Mayor, Rebecca Moynihan, to take the chair for the period of that. Is that agreed?
Lord Mayor, I'm the person who put that motion in, so I'd ask respectfully that I be asked to address that issue, because I haven't requested that my motion would be brought under standing orders. I've made no such request to the Lord Mayor. I would much prefer that my motion was allowed to be where it was. If you have an issue with that motion, Lord Mayor, I will come and speak with you, and maybe we could put that motion to the next meeting of Dublin City Council, which is in 1 month. But I would rather, I have not requested, as the person who put in the motion, and I've got the right, I have the right to do that. You cannot have a debate about my motion if I don't participate. Now, Lord Mayor, I know you will respect my wishes. I will go on and be with you. I will talk to you about this issue. And what I'm asking is that you do not go down this road, and that we simply have a conversation. And the next month, if you still wish to put my motion into the position that it's in at the moment, well, then you may have my consent for that. But at the moment, you don't have my consent. And with all due respects, I believe that this council is democratic. I'm doing nothing untoward here. I am not defacing any building whatsoever. My social media is not defacing any building whatsoever. My motion is extremely valid and it's reasonable. And I can understand the pressures here, but I think if you go down this road, I think you're into an undemocratic process. And it's unprecedented. Thank you.
Councillor McGinley?
I do think there is merit to what Councillor Flynn has suggested in terms of himself and himself meeting Lord Mayor. I appreciate, I recognise that, I might be naive, but I don't think I'm that naive. I think Councillor Flynn has been around the block, and more than yourself, Lord Mayor, both have well-held opinions, right? But I do think it would serve a purpose. That's my honest opinion.
Okay, first of all, this issue, Councillor Roberts, just a second. This issue is an issue which is affecting a lot of people, one way or the other, right? It's affecting people who are pro and against and everything else. And I think it's in the best interest of the City Council and the councillors in the City Council that we move, and this has been agreed with the group leaders earlier on, a way to deal with it. And once the council agrees, once the motion's on the agenda, all the councillors own it. And I'm asking to suspend the standing orders to give, the time that this needs and to move on. And if people support the motion, they support it. But when an emergency motion comes in, which is undermining the Lord Mayor of the day, or the Chairperson of City Council, I think it's something that needs to be addressed, and an immediate thing. And I think in respect to the whole City Council and the staff of the City Council, who were very negatively affected the last meeting over an action that was taken, and we're very upset over an action that was taken, that we can get this issue and move on. The group leaders agreed to it, and I'm put it to the floor, and everyone agreed to it. So I think, sorry, Councillor Burke.
Yeah, Chair, just before you do that, could I say, I just want to agree with Councillor McGinley. There's a lot of merits to what Councillor Flynn is saying, there's a lot of merits to what you're saying. And we've all seen the comings and the goings of it, and the hurt and the non-hurt of it, and it being dragged all over the camp. And at the end of the day, you do have innocent young men and women in the Artane Band. And I'm speaking to Councillor Flynn, that's not the issue of the young men and women. But could I ask you, Lord Mayor, rather than put it out there tonight, just a suggestion, that maybe if you, along with the leaders, meet with Councillor Flynn in the Mansion House to try and resolve the issue through mediation in a quiet, more dignified way, rather than have it aired here tonight and maybe gets more bad publicity one way or the other. Really, I'm just thinking of the dignity of your office, of the councillors, of this chamber, and of course of the young men and women who splendidly play in the band. And when I was Lord Mayor myself, I had them in the Mansion House numerous times, and I see them every time in Croke Park and further afield from New York on. So really and truly, rather than bring it out and allow it to come into a vicious debate maybe, or a sensitive debate, could we do it that way?
Councillor Lacey.
Lord Mayor, I'm genuinely confused here, because at the Protocol Committee meeting last Thursday, this exact same motion, the emergency motion, was submitted, and I was accused at the meeting and subsequently of censoring such a motion. The motion number 24 has been on the agenda for a couple of meetings, I can't remember how many. Now, Councillor Flynn has resubmitted the emergency motion for tonight's meeting. Now, either you want an issue to be dealt with, or you don't want an issue to be dealt with. And I happen to agree with you, Lord Mayor, that this issue has it's hung like a cloud over the council for a couple of months. It's hung like a cloud over the Artane Band for a couple of months. It's hung over as a cloud of people who've been outside protesting for a couple of months.
Councillor, please.
Lord Mayor, I think the issue should be dealt with, and I support your particular proposal.
Councillor Lyons.
Thanks, Chair. Yeah, I was at the group leaders meeting where you proposed stepping out of the chair, suspending standing orders after you've ruled his emergency motion, Councillor Flynn's emergency motion, out of order, but taken his motion, which is 24 on the clock. I having spoken to Councillor Flynn just before the meeting commenced, he's not willing to do that, and I had just assumed that his consent was implied in the strategy that you were laying out before the group leaders earlier. So I think we have to respect the proposer of the motion. For various reasons, many people who aren't expecting the motions to be dealt with, to have it leapfrog up the claw and, leave them. Some people might be unprepared. Some people just mightn't want to speak on that particular evening on the motion when they're not expected to. So I think we need to respect the proposer of the motion. I asked him beforehand and he says he wants to leave it where it is. And I think that decision by Councillor Flynn has to be respected. And particularly, and to force it, to do otherwise, I think, Chair, would just blow back in your face. I don't think it would be productive.
Councillor McGrath.
Thanks, Lord Mayor. I was at the group leaders meeting where we agreed this process. It seemed to me to be a good way. Like this has been debated at area committee meetings, at protocol meetings, and yet we haven't got to the crux of the issue. We can do it now. We can do it tonight. So I would support your proposal that we deal with the issue now, so people can make their views known. This has been an issue which has been in the media, but I haven't, as a councillor, I haven't got an opportunity to speak in this. So I'd like to put my views on it. I'd like to speak in it tonight. If Councillor Flynn wants to withdraw the motion, then I think you can sit down with yourself and come to a better conclusion. But if not, I want to deal with it tonight.
Councillor Brown.
At last. If it is the case that Councillor Flynn's consent wasn't sought in advance of tonight's meeting to bring his motion, which is different in content, obviously there's a crossover as well from the emergency motion. If his consent wasn't sought beforehand, it's wrong what's being proposed. You're dressing it up as some kind of favour to Councillor Flynn, whereas in fact you're springing something on him. And I know myself, if I had a motion halfway down the claw and this was proposed, I'd like the time to prepare. To marshal my thoughts and so on to speak for the full 5 minutes available if you're moving a motion, and that's not been afforded. the Councillor Flynn. So, you know, a compromise was proposed there that it be dealt with in the manner you suggest, except next month, not this month, so it could be dispatched with that way. And I think that's the way to go.
Councillor McCullough.
Yeah, Lord Mayor, when I heard the proposal of dealing with the matter, I was very much in favour of it, but I had assumed that in approaching the CPG, we'd also, or the group leaders, we'd also approach Councillor Flynn on the matter. I think for the practical reasons that Councillor O'Brien says, of just being prepared to speak on an issue, I think if we're just springing it on Councillor Flynn now, I don't. No, there's two motions. One is an emergency motion. The second is around the ban. Now, I say, Lord Mayor, I think we could deal with it tonight if Councillor Flynn. But I think to ask him to speak on the hoof right now is very hard for anybody to speak like that. Just.
Okay, sorry, Councillor, hang on. Look, the reason why it wasn't to spring at on anyone, it was spring something which caused serious problems at the last council meeting, right? It really did. It caused serious problems to a lot of people, both people in favour of the motion and against the motion. The issue is hovering around there. It's causing serious. There's a motion in here tonight attacking me as chairperson of the council. This motion is what the cause of that attack was. And I think before I can honestly sit down here and share a meeting, I'd like to know that I have the support and the confidence of all the councillors in the chamber. And the only way I can get that is to deal with this issue once and for all. That was the issue, why I brought it in the way I brought it in. Now, I have no intention in landing on anyone. Most of our motions here, most who could speak off the cuff like that with them, because I've been on for so long at this stage, they know the story. I don't intend doing that to anyone. You know, if the majority of the council, but it did raise this, I mean, it didn't just come as a proposal. This came through as a discussion with all the group leaders, the best way of dealing with it. It was nothing for or against me. It was nothing for or against Councillor Flynn. It was just how do we deal with the motion to get the council moving on. Now, can I put it now? Can I ask at this stage, you know, what did the council want to do? Can I just have a show of hands if the, can I have a show of hands? Because I don't mind one way or the other, but I do not want this council being dragged in the mud any more than it already has been, and I don't want the controversies around this council chamber. It's my job here as the chairperson of the council to try and protect its integrity and as much as possible to the people of Dublin, and I think this is the best way of doing it, but I let you decide. Now, can I ask, and I do this fairly, in the show,
Mayor, point of order. Manager, we have already suspended. Point of order. We have already suspended standing orders, as I understand it. The manager might confirm that. So, we have already taken a decision on this matter. To have that, right?
Is the council then, the decision, I know it's a bit unorthodox what we're doing here and a bit unusual, but there's a reason for it. Can we at this stage, there's nothing wrong with it, there's nothing legally wrong with it. Councillor Ryan, I'll let you come in 1 second, but I would need to move this on, right?
Before you ask for a vote to take. Well, first of all, we haven't yet taken a vote on whether to suspend standing orders because we hadn't yet finished hearing what we were suspending standing orders in order to do. So that's the first thing. The second thing is just, I mean, myself and Councillor Lawrence were both present at the group leaders meeting. We were both under the impression that this was going to proceed with Councillor Flynn's agreement, and that isn't there. So I don't think that decision stands, to be honest. And that was a decision taken by the group leaders meeting. And certainly the two of us, I think, are clear that it wouldn't stand without it. So.
Now, we have another difficulty now, because I just want to propose the motion, right? I think it's unfair. I think this should be debated. I genuinely do believe this issue should be debated. If we're in a situation now where the councillor isn't even willing to debate his own motion, I think it's unfair for us to proceed, because we don't want to propose it and it'll fall and it mightn't send out the right message from this council. So, in light of the fact that Councillor Flynn has now left the building, through the door, can I at this stage now leave this, because the emergency motion isn't an emergency, I can't take it, or I did want to debate it, and I think it wouldn't show democracy a clean thing if the one person proposing the motion wasn't here to take it. So we leave it now and we just go back onto the agenda. Sorry?
I'll make a suggestion. It might be helpful if
was going to proceed with Councillor Flynn's agreement, and that isn't there. So I don't think that decision stands, to be honest. And that was a decision taken by the group leaders meeting, and certainly the two of us, I think, are clear that it wouldn't stand without it. So.
We have another difficulty now. I've just want to propose the motion, right? I think it's unfair. I think this should be debated. I genuinely do believe this issue should be debated. If we're in a situation now where the councillor isn't even willing to debate his own motion, I think it's unfair for us to proceed, because we don't want to propose and it'll fall and it mightn't send out the right message from this council. So, in light of the fact that Councillor Flynn has now left the building, through the door, can I at this stage now leave this, because the emergency motion isn't an emergency, I can't take it, or I did want to debate it, and I think it wouldn't show democracy if the one person proposing the motion wasn't here to take it. So we leave it now and we just go back onto the agenda. Sorry?
I'll make a suggestion. It might be helpful if Councillor Flynn is still in the building that you might go and sit down somewhere and talk to him for a few minutes, and maybe we can deal with this at the end of the day.
David, no. Can I just say this? Sorry, hang on. Sorry, can I ask something, say something here? A lot of things has been tried to try and get this issue fairly, you know what I mean, without causing offence to people, and it hasn't worked. Can I, at this stage, in light of the fact that Councillor Flynn isn't here, I believe it would be wrong for us to proceed with this motion, because